This is chapter 10, lesson 5. So we're looking at metric measures and converting within the metric system. So we're going to be looking at length, which is going to be labeled as meters, weight, which will be labeled as grams, capacity is labeled as liters. So these are our base units. So that is this area right here, or that is also, if you're looking at this conversion chart, this area right here, smack dab in the middle. So the metric system is based on place value. Each unit is related to the next largest or the next smallest unit by a power of 10. So when we move to the left, we are going to be moving our decimal point to the left. When we move to the right on this chart, we're going to be moving our decimal point to the right. So kilo is going to be bigger than milli. So this is the big end, and this is the smaller end. So let's look at some problems here. My first problem says convert 15,000 meters to kilometers. So I want to first ask, like I did before, are the units being converted to a larger unit or a smaller unit? So is meters to kilometers, is that big to small or small to big? Just like we did with customary units. So if I am here at meters and I need to move to kilometers this way, is that moving from big to small or small to big? That is actually moving from small to big. So I'm going to put small to big. So just like we did with customary units, we're going to use the same phrases: silly, babies, dancing. So that means that I am going to divide by powers of 10 to convert. So just like before, we start with the number that we know, and we know 15,000. And I already know I'm going to divide. Now I need to figure out how much I'm going to divide by. So when we're moving on this metric scale, we're actually moving by powers of 10. So really, when we're doing powers of 10, I could put a 10 with an exponent, or I can put a 1 with some numbers at the end of it, with some zeros at the end of it. So I'm going to put my 1, and now I need to figure out how many zeros to put. So how I'm going to do this is I'm going to start at the meter, I'm going to put my X here, and I'm going to go 1 place value, 2 place values, 3 place values. So I had to move 3 times to get to kilo. So I'm going to add 3 zeros. 1, 2, 3. So when I divide this, these 3 zeros are actually telling me to move my decimal point to the left 3 times. So in a whole number, your decimal point's always at the very end. It's invisible if it's not there. And I'm going to move it to the left because I moved to the left here 3 times. So once, twice, 3 times. So my answer is going to be 15 kilometers. Is going to be km. Let's look at another problem. So this problem says convert 247 milligrams, which is abbreviated as mg, to centigrams, which is abbreviated cg, decigrams, dg, and grams, which is just a g. So I first asked myself, am I going large to small or small to large? Just like we did with customary units. So if I'm starting at milligrams, milli is here. And if I'm moving to centigrams, and then moving to decigrams, and then moving to grams, which is right here, am I moving bigger, small to big, or big to small? Well, moving this way is moving big. So I'm moving small to big. Small to big. So that means that I need to divide. Silly, babies, dancing. So if I'm starting off with 247 milligrams, that would be starting off, 247 milligrams is right here. So I'm going to put an X where I'm going to start. So now I know that I'm dividing, so I'm going to write my division symbol in. I can write my division symbol in for each of these because I know I'm going from small to big. So I'm also going to put a 1 here. because that 1 is representing my power of 10. Because I'm moving, the relationship is all through powers of 10, and each time I move is going to be a 0 added on to here. The only thing that really changes is this multiplication or division symbol. So when I go to the larger end, I'm dividing. When I go to the smaller end, I multiply. So 247 milligrams, and I'm moving to centigrams. So I'm moving 1 time. So I'm going to put 1 0. 247 milligrams to decigrams. Here I'm at milligrams. I'm moving once. I'm moving twice. So I need to put 2 zeros. 1, 2. 247 milligrams to grams. Starting here, moving once, moving twice, moving 3 times to grams. So 1, 2, 3. Now I can go in and I can move my decimal point to figure out my answer. In whole numbers, remember your decimal point is invisible. You cannot see it. So since I'm dividing, I'm going to move my decimal point to the left, the same direction I was moving in on my conversion chart. So I'm moving it 1 time, once. So that becomes 24 and 7/10. Moving it twice, once, twice. That becomes 2 and 47 hundredths. Moving it 1, 2, 3, once, twice, 3 times, 0.247. Let's look at another problem. Same idea. This one says convert 3 9/10 hectoliters to decaliters, liters, and deciliters. So 3.9 hectoliters. Hectoliters on here is right here. And I need to move to decaliters, liters, and deciliters. So here's decaliters, here is liters right here, and here is deciliters. So I'm moving this way. So I'm moving smaller. I'm moving from large to small. So large to small would be big to small. So best soccer mom. I'm going to multiply. So I'm going to put my multiplication symbol. And since these are powers of 10, instead of doing a 10 with an exponent, I'm going to do 1s all the way down, then add my zeros. So if I'm at hectoliters and I'm moving to decaliters, I'm moving 1 time to the right, so I'm adding 1 0. If I am at hectoliters and moving to liters, I'm moving once, and then I'm moving twice, so I'm adding 2 zeros. If I'm at hectoliters and I'm moving to deciliters, once, twice, 3 times. So that's 3 moves. So 1, 2, 3. Now when I add my decimal point and I move my decimal point, I'm moving it in the same direction I moved in. I'm moving it to the right. So I'm going to move it 1 time to the right. Once becomes 39. 1, 2. Once, twice. This blank spot needs a 0. So it becomes 390. 1, 2, 3. Once, twice, 3 times. 2 blank spots. So that means I need to fill those 2 blank spots in with zeros. Let's look at one more. 356.8 milliliters to liters. So I'm going to find milliliters on here. So I'm going to look for that little m. Here it is. And I want to move to liters. So I want to move this way. That would be division. I'm moving from big to small. Small to big. Silly babies dancing. So I say 356 and 8/10 divided by silly babies dancing, divided by. When I move to the left, I divide. Put my 1, and let's see how many times I'm moving. Once, twice, 3 times. So that would be 1, 2, 3 zeros. Now I just move my decimal point 3 times in the direction I moved on my conversion chart. Once, twice, 3 times. So my answer is 0.3568 liters. And the same thing holds true for every problem that you do. You just need to remember, if you're moving to the left, you divide. If you're moving on your chart to the right, you're going to multiply. And then it's just moving the decimal in the direction that you're moving. So revert back to